Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here are today's top stories. President Joe Biden has directed the U.S. Secret Service to protect independent presidential candidate RFK Jr. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance was unveiled as Trump's choice for vice president yesterday. More on Vance and who he is. A series of wildfires erupted amidst the heatwave. We have an update on the blazes. First up, President Joe Biden has directed the U.S. Secret Service to protect independent presidential candidate RFK Jr. This comes after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Independent presidential candidate RFK Jr. will now receive a Secret Service protection. President Biden directed the move after the assassination attempt on former President Trump over the weekend. Trump said providing coverage to the third-party candidate was imperative, especially given the Kennedy family's history. Kennedy's uncle, President John F. Kennedy, and his father, Robert F. Kennedy, were both assassinated. RFK Jr. thanked President Biden for the extra layer of Secret Service protection on X. He also shared Trump's post and said, "It's a hopeful sign for the U.S. when a political opponent calls for one's protection." Continuing with Trump's running mate J.D. Vance, we hear from a couple people in Middletown, Ohio, where Vance grew up.
I think it's great. We got somebody from our area, Middletown. Again, yes, I'm glad. Good choice. I'm sure he'll be able to do best for me because he knows my life here, just like his.
I want Donald Trump to be president. Well, everyone in this town, good, lovely people, if you meet the right people.
The president of Teamster Union, Sean O'Brien, has praised Senator Vance for his strong stance on Teamster issues like fighting outsourcing and Amazon's labor practices. O'Brien made a historic appearance at the Republican National Convention on Monday. The labor leader voiced the support for American workers and warned of corporate power. It was the first time a Teamster president appeared at any Republican National Convention. President Biden is campaigning in Nevada today. Las Vegas police say they are ready for President Biden's visit. Police say there will be extra security at all stops on the president's visit. President Biden spoke at the Mandalay Bay Resort earlier. He will be at the MGM Grand tomorrow. Biden told reporters yes when asked if he has faith in his Secret Service. The Chicago police superintendent is also confident in the security plan for the Democratic National Convention. Turning now to the Democratic National Convention. Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling says the city is ready for next month's event. Snelling says the security measures for the event are constantly evolving. He says police are going to do everything they can to protect everyone.
So the security measures that are in place, that we have in place currently, to prevent those types of incidents from happening. So we've had nearly a year to plan for those things. Now, again, if we get any additional intel, if we see things where we know we need to make adjustments or we need additional manpower, we will make those adjustments as soon as possible.
The main DNC event will be held in Chicago's United Center. The area is enclosed similar to the venue where the Republican National Convention is taking place. The Secret Service is in charge of security at the United Center and will also provide security at McCormick Place for other DNC events next month. Former President Trump has picked his running mate. It's Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. Vance was unveiled as Trump's choice for vice president yesterday at the Republican National Convention. Here's more on Vance and who he is.
J.D. Vance was announced as former President Trump's pick at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee Monday.
It is therefore my honor to nominate Ohio Senator J.D. Vance for the office of Vice President of the United States of America.
Soon after the announcement, Vance emerged on the convention floor with his wife, Usha. Vance was a vocal critic of Trump in 2016, but that changed after the 2020 election. He backed Trump's challenge to the election results and has since become one of the former president's strongest defenders. Some Republican delegates responded to the news.
Hey, I'm super excited about J.D. Vance. He's a businessman. We have now, instead of one businessman, we've got two great businessmen.
I think it was a fantastic pick. You look at our state, Georgia, and we are a military state.
J.D. Vance brings together the strength to be able to connect with people. They're in the middle.
Vance rose to prominence in 2016 after he published his memoir entitled Hillbilly Elegy. It was made into a film of the same name in 2020. He served in the U.S. Marine Corps straight out of high school and was deployed to Iraq for 6 months. After that, he worked as a law clerk. He later moved to San Francisco to work as a venture capitalist in the tech industry. He first considered a career in politics in 2018, suggesting he might run for Senate. In 2022, he defeated Tim Ryan to become Ohio's junior U.S. Senator. Although he is new to the game, Vance is deeply popular with supporters of Trump. He holds conservative views on issues like abortion and illegal immigration, but he has also worked across the aisle, teaming up with Democrats on a number of issues important to Ohio. Vance is set to address the Republican convention Wednesday. If elected in November, 39-year-old Vance will be the youngest vice president since Nixon in 1953.
In Central and Southern California, a series of wildfires erupted amidst the heat wave. The extreme heat and dry weather is causing the blaze to spread faster.
Over the weekend, a series of wildfires erupted across Kern County, California, causing extensive damage. One of the most severe incidents began on Sunday night near Lost Hills, where a fast-moving fire scorched more than 2,800 acres. CAL FIRE reported that the Lost Hills fire ignited at approximately 10 p.m. on Sunday, close to Interstate 5. The blaze spread rapidly due to a combination of critical weather conditions, including dry lightning and an ongoing heat wave affecting the western United States. The National Weather Service had previously warned of an increased fire risk, emphasizing that any new ignitions could spread quickly under such extreme heat. In a separate incident, the White Fire near Twin Lakes in Kern County has burned over 5,500 acres. Local authorities are urging residents to remain vigilant, follow evacuation orders, and adhere to safety guidelines as firefighters continue to battle these dangerous fires. Meanwhile, Lake Fire in Santa Barbara has burned over 38,000 acres and is 38% contained.
In wastewater for a handful of U.S. states, CDC data shows that COVID levels are very high. NTD's David Lamb reports.
Sewage water can be tested to detect traces of diseases locally circulating in a community, according to the CDC, even if people don't show symptoms. According to the National Wastewater Surveillance System on the CDC page, its map categorizes the viral activity levels for COVID-19 on a scale from very high to minimal. As of the most recent data in July, 7 U.S. states have very high levels: Oregon, California, Nevada, Texas, Arkansas, Florida, and Maryland. The one state showing minimal levels is Nebraska, while North Dakota and D.C. have insufficient data of less than 6 weeks, according to the CDC. Data is reported from wastewater treatment plants in each region. The CDC says health officials use the weekly data to alert hospitals or the public if needed. In March, the EPA and White House warned that foreign groups were carrying out cyber attacks against water and sewage systems in the U.S. An EPA letter highlighted specific cyber attacks by groups sponsored by Iran and China, saying the critical infrastructure is used by tens of millions of people. Drug substances can also be tracked in wastewater. An analysis from a July report confirmed that Australia is a stimulant nation for drug users, with cocaine consumption in capital cities and regional areas reaching record highs last year. David Lamb, NTD News.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has a new proposal for managing barred owls. Their goal is to save the native northern and California spotted owls. Another Southern California store is robbed with a car driving through the storefront. An award-winning photojournalist shares her work at an exhibition in California. We'll hear more from the photographer herself. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. In order to save West Coast spotted owls, U.S. officials plan to use trained shooters to kill thousands of barred owls. NTD's Christina Corona has more details on the story.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service released its final environmental impact statement on proposed barred owl management strategies to protect northern and California spotted owls in Washington, Oregon, and California from invasive barred owls.
The spotted owl is listed under the Endangered Species Act as threatened right at this point. Spotted owls are an iconic and long evolved with the system that we have out here in the West Coast. They are one of our species that is part of our ecosystem, and we believe that it is important to save all aspects of our ecosystem.
But how are barred owls harming the spotted owls?
Barred owls are a slightly larger and slightly more aggressive member of the owl family. They are not native to the western forests. They move into an area, they move into the spotted owl's territory and basically push the spotted owl out of that territory into suboptimal habitat where they die of starvation or predation.
She says barred owls are also preying on the same species as spotted owls and are most likely competing for food as well as territory. Their goal,
which is to remove barred owls from specific areas scattered across the range of the species to provide refugia, or areas with lower barred owl populations where spotted owls can survive and hopefully thrive.
She says all the removal that is done on the study would be done by removal specialists with the knowledge, training, and experience to identify the species and to do the removals according to the protocol. And how would the removal be done?
Most of the removal would be done by lethal removal, so that's shooting.
So they don't underestimate the impacts. They estimated that there would be fewer than 16,000 barred owls per year with full implementation of the strategy. This is less than 0.5% of North American barred owl population. If the strategy is adopted, the service will get a permit under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, which would allow designated tribes, agencies, companies, or landowners to manage barred owls if they follow the strategy, permit conditions, and state laws. The final EIS and strategy incorporate input from public comments, agencies, and tribes. The service plans to announce its decision 30 days after publishing the final EIS in the Federal Register. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Thieves stole thousands of dollars worth of high-end sneakers and shirts from a store in South Los Angeles during a smash-and-grab robbery. NTD's Christina Corona provides more details on the incident.
Rich Kids LA, located at the intersection of Century Boulevard and Van Ness Avenue, was burglarized around 3:15 a.m. on July 11th. Surveillance footage from the owner showed up to 10 individuals entering the store after a white Kia sedan crashed into the front window. Inside, the suspects can be seen grabbing expensive shoes and clothes from shelves and racks. The thieves left and returned a second time, grabbing more items. They eventually fled the scene, abandoning the white Kia. According to the store owners, it took the LA Police Department officers up to 2 hours to respond to the alarm. The white Kia remained running the entire time. The owner estimated that $25,000 in sneakers and $500 in t-shirts were stolen. The LAPD didn't clarify if the white Kia was stolen. An investigation remains underway. Christina Corona, NTD News.
A popular fitness guru who mixed laughs and sweat has passed away. He was known to counsel the severely obese by balancing seriousness and silliness to motivate them.
Richard Simmons was television's hyperactive court jester of physical fitness who built a mini empire in his trademark tank tops and short shorts by urging the overweight to exercise and eat better. He passed away Saturday after turning 76 on Friday. In an email to the Associated Press, his publicist Tom Estey said Simmons died in his home in Los Angeles. He gave no further details. Los Angeles Police and Fire Departments say they responded to a house where a man was declared dead from natural causes. Simmons, who had revealed a skin diagnosis in March 2024, had lately dropped out of sight, sparking speculation about his health and well-being. TMZ first reported his death. Simmons was a former 268-pound teen. He shared his hard-won weight loss tips as host of the Emmy-winning daytime Richard Simmons Show and was the author of best-selling books and a diet plan, Deal a Meal. He also opened exercise studios and starred in exercise videos, including the wildly successful Sweatin' to the Oldies line, which became a cultural phenomenon. Simmons' daytime show was seen on 200 stations in America, as well as in Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines, Japan, and South America. His first book, Never Say Diet, was a smash bestseller.
As an award-winning photojournalist with a career spanning several decades, Catherine Bauknight's legendary photographs have been featured in many publications, including Time magazine. People in Southern California had a rare opportunity to meet her and see her work at a photography exhibition in Burbank, California. Let's turn to NTD's Bill Thomas to find out more.
Catherine Bauknight's exhibition titled All One World, Turn of the Century 20th 21st Photography Expo showcases her historic photos from all over the globe. These include images of indigenous peoples, also Stonehenge, rock stars, and more.
Being able to document the difference from one century, the 20th century, to the 21st century is very special and very important, not only for me, but for others now and historically speaking.
Each photograph in the exhibition is personally autographed by the artist, and with each new exhibition, there are also new pictures. One person attending the event told us he works as a television host, and he says one particular photograph immediately caught his attention.
Smokey Robinson, that singer I just interviewed a couple years ago, really enjoy his singing, and our Catherine Bauknight, the picture. So I collected this one today.
Being a globe-trotting female photojournalist in this complicated and sometimes dangerous world isn't always easy, and Bauknight shares with us what she has experienced while meeting different people from a variety of very unique places.
This is what I've found over North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, the places that I've done assignments, that, me being a Anglo-white journalist coming in is very fearful for people in other countries.
Photographing strangers can put some people on the defense, but Bauknight shares with us her tips on how to navigate this natural reaction. She says simply communicating with people and developing a mutual understanding is the first step in helping someone to overcome their concerns and apprehension.
I have to make sure that they understand that there's no reason to fear me. Let's just educate. You educate me, and I'll educate what you want to have said to the world.
Bauknight tells us that one of the most remarkable moments in her career as a photojournalist was documenting the inhumane brutality which she witnessed during the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre in China.
Tiananmen Square was pretty remarkable with the students that were willing to speak out, or they were willing to stand for democracy, even though they didn't even exactly know what democracy is.
As a foreigner in China, one of her associates asked locals if they knew anything about a democratic system of government, and she was overwhelmed by their response.
I was with a journalist from Canada who asked them, "Do you know what democracy is?" And they said, "No, we don't know exactly, but we know that it would be better than what we have." So that pretty much changed my whole world.
Being at Tiananmen Square during the protests was not only historically significant, it was also terribly hazardous.
In Tiananmen Square, I arrived 45 minutes before the soldiers started shooting at the students there. And they would say to me, "For the free world, for the free world," for me to photograph them.
As a photojournalist, Bauknight usually helps others to overcome their fear, but this time she had to overcome her own fear.
There is fear, of course, at that moment, but my will and instinct to help people through my talent of documenting is stronger than the fear of leaving.
Working in perilous places means your safety could be compromised, and Bauknight shares with us some harrowing experiences she's gone through and what she did to survive.
There's many times I've been kidnapped, 3 times and things like that, but I always know that if I tell them I'm from America and they need to set me free, it's worked 3 times.
In her line of work, you can't exactly wear long gowns and high heels. You have to be able to move around freely and rapidly.
Then you need to bring tennis shoes. You always have to be wearing tennis shoes because you'll either be running towards danger, towards some kind of civil dissonance, or you're going to be running away after trying to get it published in the Associated Press.
Bauknight breaks down for us the transformative power which photography can have on all of us.
I think that this exhibit is going to be a movement so that people can start moving towards being free and also not having fear anymore of each other.
Photography allows us to see the world through the eyes of individuals from different cultures and backgrounds. It helps us to promote cultural understanding while at the same time assisting us in overcoming our fears to create a more connected and compassionate society. Bauknight's photography exhibition is on display at the Betsy Lukey Creative Arts Center in Burbank, California through July 25th. During her exhibition, Bauknight also received a certification of recognition from Burbank Mayor Nick Schultz, which she'll be adding to her very impressive awards collection. Bill Thomas and Jimmy Ma, NTD News, Burbank.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. Former President Trump's VP pick calling out the China threat. We unpack Senator J.D. Vance's position on China, from tariffs to foreign policy. More on China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.